Good morning, everybody.
Good morning, Sean.
Steve, welcome inside the huddle.
Thank you. Glad to be here. Looking forward to a productive week. A lot going on this week. I got my sales meeting for Encinitas Cardiff tomorrow. We have a regional meeting coming up. A lot going on.
Absolutely. Matter of fact, this meeting this morning, you guys that are joining inside the huddle get a little sneak peek.
Cheat sheet.
We thought we should give you guys a little reward for joining us early on Monday mornings. Anything we want to get into, Steve, before we?
Well, there are three models that an agent, I think, has to have to be successful. One's a lead generation model, an economic model. They got to understand their expenses. They have to have an organizational model, how things flow in their business, who's responsible for what. And that's important, particularly if you have a team. And then probably most important is your budget model, right? So to me, those are the four basic models that I think, well, you don't have to have them, right? That's a choice. But if you want to achieve your highest and best potential, I think you want to consider having those four models in place.
Absolutely. Well, and as we all know, we're coming into October, which is business planning month. We talked about that last week a bit. What do we need to know? The regional sales meeting next week, for all the agents throughout San Diego County, we're going to run through step one of the business plan, which is the budget model. It's what is your goal, and we're going to reverse engineer it down into daily activities. Make it simple, make it easy, something that all you have to do is every morning get up and say, well, I just got to follow my calendar.
Yeah.
Now, we're going to have to move through it pretty fast, and there's some math. So we kind of thought, why don't we share it with you guys today, share the form, so that you'll be ahead of everybody else. Don't tell them we do this for you guys, but since you guys are here joining us, why don't we share it with you, and then we can see if there's questions also. If you guys are looking at this saying, wait a minute, that makes no sense, this is the time to tell us. That sound fair? All we have is pictures. Everybody nod your picture head?
I think so. Thumbs up. Yeah.
I got a thumbs up. Good. And then I have one special thing I wanted to share that Steve doesn't even know. I told him even he's going to be. Because I don't see this in the news anywhere, but we'll do that at the end. So all I need to do, Steve, is figure out how to share
your screen.
The screen. I work for a tech company, so
it's that present now. There you go. You got it. Is it coming up? There we go.
Okay. Then figure out where it is.
It's on the screen. I see it. Yeah.
Okay, so I can't see anything. I'm just going to go through this, but Steve, you're watching. If people.
Yeah, I suggest that the team, the folks that are with us, look for Sean's post right now and pin it. And by that, I mean, when you roll over the screen, you'll see basically two options highlighted. One is a pin. If you pin that, it'll enlarge it to your screen. So it's the primary window.
There you go. I didn't even know that. That's awesome.
Yeah. That way it's easier to follow along, easier to read.
So that you can see it. But please raise your hand or just speak up. It's not like there's 200 of us here. And because this is giving you guys a sneak peek, but it's also telling us if there's anything that doesn't make sense. Fair enough? And then, Steve, you're going to jump in anything you see.
As I see necessary.
As you see necessary. And this was set up because I'm going to be presenting to my own office, so you got the our office logo.
Yeah.
Business plan has to be in writing. It should be transaction-driven, and it should be budget-based, right? I think we all know that.
Yeah.
There's 3 steps, and this is going to be step 1 that we're going to do in the sales meeting that you guys are going to get to see right now. That's the reverse engineering your goals into activities. The second and third steps, you create 2 to 4 detailed marketing campaigns, and then you put it all into a calendar. You'll be getting with your sales manager, and they may be doing one-on-ones. They might be doing classes. That's up to each office, right? Steve, I don't know if you know what you're going to be doing yet. You have a lot of principals in your office.
Yeah. Of course, it'll be elective for those agents that want to meet with me one-on-one. It's not going to, it's not mandatory, but we're highly encouraged that if you haven't had a plan in the past and you've just been working within your skill set of, I wake up every day, I work hard, and think good things happen to me. This is a way of waking up with a sense of purpose and intention that allows you to achieve your true self. You become self-actualized. And one thing I love about your plan here is the number one thing, which is the reverse engineer. One of the simplest things I think a business plan should do is to take you through the exercise of, okay, what do I want? Right? Well, I'll get that as a result of this activity, which comes as a result of this activity, which comes as a result of this, which ultimately leads you to the action you have to start to take. So it's a domino effect, right? You knock each domino down and you get to where you want. But starting with the end in mind is where most people, they don't do enough planning right there, right? They just go off and react and start doing noise. And I'm a big believer, Sean, that activity is not productivity. Right? You can make a lot of noise and not be productive. So this is why the plan helps you. When you have a plan, I will tell my agents, work the freaking plan, work the plan, right?
Absolutely. Yeah. I liken it to getting in your car, your truck. You can go drive around all day. You're active. You're doing things. Yeah. You might even like some of the places you end up. But it's very different to say, at the end of the year, I want to be here. Okay, how do I get there? And then let's draw a map back to where we are.
How great would it be if you could just pivot as a coach and say, work the plan? Are you working the plan? Right. So that's where we're going. That's what we're trying to do here.
Work the plan. Okay, so there is a little bit of math, but that's why you guys are here. I'm going to take you through it, though. Steve's going to comment. We're going to have fun with this. It starts with first knowing your budget. These are 3 typical budgets, depending on how big your team is. And by team, I mean staff, not agents. And you can see that as the team grows, staff salaries grow. Back in the beginning, when there's just nobody on your team, you still want to be putting some money away so you can hire an admin. When the staff salaries grow, then the total costs go up and your profit drops a little bit. As you grow some more, you'll see staff salaries grow all the way to 15%. Your marketing drops a little, but you'll notice your total costs and profit don't change at that point. There's a couple things I want you to see in this budget. One, your operating budget never exceeds 30% of your GCI. If it does, there's something wrong and we need to take a look. The second thing is look at the profit. I know a lot of agents get a $15,000 commission check and go, hoo-hoo, I made $15,000. No, you made $5,000 because we have operating expenses and we have taxes. We start looking at it as a business and running it like a business. So that's how we're going to engineer this, is by starting with a budget. So for all of you, when we do this, you would say, where am I right now? Am I in the team 0 to 1, in which case my profit's 42%? Or am I in one of the others and my profit's 37%? So this is what it looks like. We start out by putting in our expenses. Now this is personal. We're going to run this all personal and then reverse engineer from there. So I think, Steve, I have this set up so it'll go through an example. Should I just do that? I'm going to take that as a yes.
Sorry, yeah, I'm muted. Yes.
For all I know, my computer's shut off because I can't see.
No, I muted myself because I had a little cough. Sorry about that.
Okay, so what we're going to do is put in our inputs. Let's say that your personal expenses are $7,000 a month. That's $84,000 a year. Let's say you have $16,000 worth of debt you want to get rid of this year. And here's the big one. Let's say we want to get $100,000 saved, or better yet, invested. And that's where what Steve was talking about. You can do this 3 or 4 times. Let's start out by dreaming big. And then when you get it down to the daily activity, if you say, oh, I can do that all day, let's go back and increase the savings. Or if it comes back and you say, oh, man, I don't know if I can do that. Okay, let's go back and play with the numbers. In this scenario, I don't think I did any expenses. No. So we need to make in our pocket $200,000 at the end of the year to make this happen. So now we say, okay, I need $200,000. I'm going to go with a 42% profit margin because I don't have a big staff. So we divide by 42%. That means we need to get $476,000 in commission so that we can pay taxes, pay operating expenses, and still have $200,000 left. But one more thing, we have a split, and we have a resource fee. So I'm using 90% and a 7% resource, so I'm ending up with 3%. So that $476,000 divided by 83% means I need gross GCI of $575,000 in order to end up with $200,000 in my pocket after taxes and after all my business expenses. Are there any questions, Steve? Is everybody, any hands up? Or are we good?
I think it follows. You're following the plan. You're working the numbers, and those are the numbers.
Working the numbers. Okay, good. So then we go to, how do we make this work with our business? We know what our gross GCI is now, 575,000. Let's say that your market is, the median price is $1 million, and we're holding on to that 2.5% commission. So we're averaging $25,000 in gross commission per transaction. How many transactions do I have to do? Well, I take that gross GCI of 575,000 and I divide it by my average GCI. And that tells me, and we round up, right? We always round up. I need to close 23 transactions this year. Okay, that doesn't sound that bad. Now let's start taking into an account conversion. So activity goals. What percentage of listing appointments that you go on do you actually close, become an active listing? I'm going to go 75%. It's a good middle number. For some of us, it's higher because we're going a lot of referral. I have agents who are doing 100, 150 transactions a year. For them, it's actually lower. This is one of the few numbers that goes down as you get better because you're ending up on more and more cold appointments. Okay, and then same question of buyer consultation. How many buyer consultations turn into not only a buyer that's working with me, but a buyer that I actually get into escrow and close? Which in this market, I'm going to go a little more conservative and say 60%, because it's not easy to get them into escrow. Next question is listings versus buyer. Basically, what's our percentage? A standard that we talk about a lot is 60-40. I want 60% of my business to be listings, 40% to be buyers. Okay, how many listings then do I need? 60% of 23, we round up, is 14. And that means I need 9 buyers. To get my 23 transactions, I need to close 14 listings and 9 buyers. How many appointments do I need? Well, I need 14 closed listings, and I close 75% of my listing appointments. So I need to go on 19 listing appointments. 75% of 19 listing appointments will get me 14 actual listings. Same thing with the buyer, and we see 15 buyer consultations in order to get 9 closed. Everybody still with me?
Sure. Yeah.
Oh, this is going good. Okay. So we add those two together. That means we need 34 appointments over the course of the year, which doesn't sound that bad, I don't think. Now, here's the tricky part. I do this a little differently than most people. I'm going to talk to you about conversations rather than contacts. And here's how they differ. A contact means you talk to someone. Hi, my name's Sean. I'm in real estate. How are you? That's a contact. Calling your database to say, hey, how you doing? Do you have any real estate questions? Anything I can help you with? That's a contact. It's an important contact. But it's not a conversation. A conversation, the way I'm defining it, the way I want you to define it, is actually trying to find a need and then going after an appointment. Because in the end, if all we measure are contacts, we become contact kings and contact queens, which is great, but the point of this isn't contacts, it's appointments. So instead of calling someone in my sphere saying, do you have any real estate questions? That's a contact. I say, hey, you know what's going on right now? People who've owned their home 3 years like you, they're selling it, they're taking all their equity, they're putting it down on their dream home. And with rates where they are, their payment's not even going up. I mean, they're actually buying their dream home at no extra cost. Have you thought about that? Do you know what your dream home looks like? That's me probing a need. That's me trying to get to an appointment. Now, I may never get there, or I might ask for it and they say no. That doesn't matter. That's a conversation. Okay, so if we're good with that definition, then the question becomes, how many conversations do you have to get an appointment? Now, I'm going to cheat. I know after doing this for years that the average answer lies between 5 and 15. For hundreds of agents I've done this with. So I'm going to go in the middle and say 10. I'm an average agent. I need 10 conversations to get an appointment. I need 34 appointments, so I need 340 conversations this year. How many weeks are you going to work? 52 weeks in the year. We've got vacations. We've got holidays. We've got sick days. We're going off to Compass has their big get together. You should be going off to training. I'm going to say 46 weeks of actual work. 5 days a week, that's 230 days. So the magic number, 340 conversations I need, 230 days a week. I mean, in the year I'm going to work, means I need 1 point something conversations a day, which of course we round up to 2. Now that's pretty amazing when you think about it. If I can go out every single day and have 2 appointment attempting conversations, I'm going to end up with $200,000 cash in my pocket after all expenses and all taxes. You might look at that and say, I think I'm going to up my savings. I'm going to up my investment. I can do 2 conversations. Now, let me give you the cheat for people who don't like this conversation definition. Just you're used to counting contacts. Times it by 4. Minimum of 4. So if we're saying you need 2 conversations, then you need 8 to 10 contacts a day to hit these same numbers. So there's your cheat if you prefer counting contacts. And that's it. Then we come to a summary. We say, okay, my GCI needs to be 575. I need 14 closed, so I need 19 appointments on listings. I need 9 buyers, so I need 15 appointments, which means I got to talk to 2 people a day where I'm actually looking for an appointment. It might take me 10 contacts to get those 2. But that's my goal for every single day. That's my non-negotiable. And then you can see we end with, if you could share your goals with a group of friends and no one laughs, your goals aren't big enough. 2 conversations a day, Steve. How doable is that?
Well, it's really doable. And, you know, if we were all in a room right now, the 28 of us, and I said, you know, and I asked the question, and I asked this at my class on Friday, is what do you get paid to do? You know, what do real estate agents get paid to do? And if we were in a room full of 200 people at a training event, some would say we get paid to sell houses. We get paid to solve people's problems. And all of those are true, but they're a byproduct of conversations you have to have. You actually get paid when you talk to people.
Yes.
It's a blocking and tackling exercise here. And one thing I think when I was looking at your numbers, I mean, I don't think, you know, these are extreme times. These are extreme times right now. The market, as hard as it is, the numbers that Sean just put up, if you work those numbers, you will have a successful year, even in these extreme times. But understand that you're having to work twice as hard right now versus what you would have to do in a balanced market, right? It's twice as hard to find listings. It's twice as hard to get buyers into contract, given all of the constraints that we're confronted with. So just know that the numbers are the numbers are the numbers. It's always about the numbers. And if you can reduce it to the simplest form, which is what you're doing here, which is you should never wake up a day in your real estate business, Sean, and wonder what you need to be doing on that day.
What should I do today? Right.
Right. So if I know that if I can reduce it to 2 conversations, that I can, and by the way, these conversations have to end up in like your CRM notes, you know, that you're actually.
These are real conversations.
Right. Yeah. If you did that, your outcome would be, your success is inevitable. I'm just saying, your success is inevitable.
Oh, Denise raised her hand, so let's get her in here.
Sure.
See what questions she has.
Actually, you're good. I did it by accident. Continue.
I was looking for that insightful question from you, Denise.
You'd already answered everything. Thanks, though.
Okay, so absolutely. The whole point of this, Steve, is that you wake up in the morning and know, look, I'm not saying there's not 100 things that you have to do in real estate.
No.
Many of them not dollar producing activities, but you have to do them just the same.
You need to understand. Agents need to understand that certain activities do not get results. Certain activities will get results. So that's what this is about. It's saying what activities, I mean, because there's a lot of things to do, what activities are going to get me the results that I can count on and that are predictable. Not all activities produce results.
No, it doesn't mean we don't have to do them, but the priority is knowing what's my non-negotiable 2 conversation.
Yeah.
Everything else is secondary to that.
Right. Right.
And you reminded me of a great story that I use when we're talking about this. What do we do? How do we get paid? And a lot of people say, you know, we do listings, we help people sell real estate. And you said, no, we talk to people. It reminds me of the great Junior Seau, the Chargers linebacker, who was famous, or maybe the better word is infamous, within the team for playing full out 100% in practice, which these guys generally don't do. The injury rate's so high, it's such a painful sport. And it would kind of piss off the other players. And I heard a receiver interviewed once, and the interviewer asked the receiver, why does he do that? And he said, I asked Junior that same question. What the hell are you doing, man? And Junior said, well, I get paid to practice. I play the games for free. We do listings for free. We do escrows for free. That's the fun part of this business. We get paid to go out and talk to people, to create rapport and trust with people we don't know, to add people to our database. That's what we get paid for. I'll do the escrows for free. I'll do listings for free. It's fun to hold an open house. That's the good part. Right? Am I off track on that?
No. I mean, your income will be in direct proportion to that exercise. I promise you. So even if you've generated a business that's so successful, such that the contacts are reaching out to you, you've got a great referral-based system. It will still, you have to have that conversation, right? I mean, like, you're talking to them about a need that they have as it relates to what's going on in their world, selling a home, moving, what have you. So it's always about the conversation. It is the tip of the spear, period. And no matter how you want to try to avoid it, you have to have these conversations. And look, it shouldn't be different. Everyone on this call should not have an issue with that, right? I mean, that should be uncontroversial. So it really is. If you want to reduce the noise, which was like, you look at the business plan that you just outlined, let's be honest, Sean, there are some people who look at it and say, well, that's complicated. I mean, it really is not when you take your time to review each slide and gather the numbers and put them together. But if you're not used to that, your reflex response is, that looks complicated. Okay, well, if you could just work the plan in such a way as to know that all you really need to focus on forevermore every day is measure yourself by the number of conversations you're having, number of contacts you're making daily. I'm telling you.
Start with that. Well, let me ask you a question, and I will not call you out. I just want to see. I went through that pretty quick.
Yeah.
If it looked complicated, or I don't know if I would do that on my own, or I could follow that, do the raised hand thing. And again, I won't call you, but I just want to see it.
Yeah.
It is anonymous, but let me know how.
Be honest.
So we have a couple hands raised. Good, thank you. So would it have helped to slow it down, or is it just something that is not appealing? If anybody wants to put in the comments, like thoughts and suggestions, whether you raised your hand or not, I would love that feedback before we go do it for the whole region. You guys are the ones that we trust.
My instincts would be, and I'd love to hear from everyone too, but my instincts would be, it's just gathering that information. How do I start to gather that if they haven't tracked it, right? So to me, how can I do the math if I don't have the data to put in? Would that be a fair guess, I think, here?
Most of the time when I'm doing this with agents, we are doing best estimates because they haven't been tracking. And this is why you track. If you do this, I promise you, one thing is your year will end up exactly the way you expected. But second, if you do this and track, in 6 months, you sit back down with your sales manager or your coach or your accountability partner, and you go back in and you readjust the numbers based on the 6 months, you'll be amazed.
Yeah.
It will become a business that you can dial up and dial down at will. It's not difficult once you're running it, like a business. That's the key.
Yeah.
All right, I wanted to share one little piece of mindset with you guys, because you were talking, Steve, about, look, we have to have conversations. That's what we do. But I know for a lot of us, there's a certain roadblock in there. Especially if it's strangers. For some of us, that's the getting rejected. For others, it's, I'll talk to strangers, but I never want to talk to my friends. I don't want to be salesy. If you think of yourself more and more as someone who has a cure to a disease, right? There are people out there that are starting to show symptoms of this very painful disease called selling a home and moving, or buying a home and moving, which, as we all know, is stressful. That ranks up there with public speaking as one of the most stressful things people go through. And you have the ability to help them through that, to take away a lot of that stress, to cure them. You have the cure to a disease. So you're not going around asking people if they want to sell a home or not. You're never being personally rejected. If you had the cure to a disease, you'd be knocking on everybody's door, calling all your friends, saying, is anybody in the family showing symptoms of this? And if they say no, you would say, thank God. I'm glad you're not about to be in pain or be sick. That's not a rejection. That's a celebration. Let me keep going and looking for people who are showing symptoms because I can help them. That's what we're doing. That's the conversation. You're just looking for the people who need your help and don't even realize that you have the cure. Mindset. Okay, Steve, anything else before I share this other bit of news that I don't think anybody's, I haven't seen it in the papers or the news yet today.
No, I would just say, like, if you have no means of tracking your efforts and intentions, then you're not operating with a sense of urgency. And I think that every day we should come with that. I mean, I think it's really important. I think great coaches try to put their players in pressure situations every day, and in football, it's one thing. In business, it's another. In business, it's trying to keep the agents' eyes focused on what's the one thing that I can do, such by doing it, everything else would seem less important or would just fall into place. And if you have a business plan, I will tell you, you are infinitely more coachable and infinitely better to help, because we can go back and say, are you working your plan? And we can see the blind spots and really change the outcome. Without that, I'll just leave it at that. Without that, I just feel like if those of you on the call who are familiar with the Keller Williams E to P, which I love, entrepreneurial skill sets versus people who E to P is easy versus painful, right? So there are entrepreneurial disciplines. People are born to act and have certain skill sets, and others, they don't have it. But if you're on purpose with working a plan, you will outperform someone who has a natural ability at anything, right? That's a fact. And so identifying, where you stand in that, I guess what I'm saying is, if you wake up and you just have a great natural gift for this business to talk to people and produce, and it produces an income for you or a production level of X, what you're capable of is so much more if you just work a plan. But that's your call. Like, you can't, right, Sean? We can't make people work a plan. We can't make them create a plan. But if they have it, then they can become self-actualized, I guess is what I'm trying to say in my Zenish way, And that's what I want for people. I mean, I want to be the best version of myself. I want Compass to be the best version of itself. That's what I want. What's the best version of me? What can it be? And you can't get that without feedback or coaching.
If you're going to do the work, and we're all doing the work, and we all know how the outside world does not understand how difficult this business is. They do not. And that's
they don't care, by the way.
And they don't care, right? But we know how much hard work it is. If you're going to do the work anyway, why not do it to take you someplace you purposefully want to be?
Yeah.
Don't be surprised by where you end up. Decide where you want to end up, reverse engineer it, and then just follow the plan every day.
Yeah, work the plan.
It's so much less stressful.
Yes, sir.
And speaking of today, so that brings me to the last thing I want to bring up. It's a very strange day. It's a one-day only kind of thing. I think there's only like 17 hours left in this special offer. Today only, there will be no yesterdays available. There'll be no tomorrows available. Today, just today only, there's only going to be today available. It's like a 17-hour special. I would go and stock up. I would take the best use of it I could. I don't think this special is going to be available tomorrow. Just saying. That's all I got, Steve.
I don't have anything to add to that. I lost a dear friend last week, a big mentor of mine, and I shared this with the group too. And I'll leave you with this. One of the gifts he gave me, and he's not the only one, is don't die with your music in you. Don't die with your music in you. He left in a way that was really powerful. You wonder what goes through your mind when you know your end is in sight. Very few of us will have that ability. The lights will go out, and they'll go out, and we won't be prepared for it, for some. But to know that you have a moment every day to be the best version of yourself, to know that you don't know when none of us know when the clock is going to end for us. Do yourself a favor today. You want to feel good. Take a look at the people around you and make sure that the people that are closest to you take an action today that lets them know that you value them, you appreciate them, and your life is better because they're in it. So that's my parting Zen shot for the day, because we all keep going. We hear these things and we keep going, and we do it for a second, but take time today to do that.